The lecture hall aboard the Xentharis Academy of Astrogational Sciences was carved directly into the side of a drifting asteroid the size of Manhattan. It glided through the Jolivian expanse, shielded by a rotating shell of alloyed obsidian and translucent pressure domes. Inside, hundreds of students from across the known sectors sat in tiered rows, some suspended in gravity wells, others floating loosely in chairs designed for their unique anatomies. The air tasted faintly of ozone and machine oil, and the hum of the central life support nodes underscored every breath. Professor Velnax hovered at the center of the hall, his 6 limbs folded neatly, his mottled blue skin shimmering under the dome lights. His central eye swiveled toward the single human seated near the back, tall, broad-shouldered, and visibly uncomfortable in the zero-G retention harness. "Eravan Ells," Velnax said, his translator synthesizing an almost melodic tone. "You are the first of your species to attend this institution. A remarkable opportunity. I expect you will not waste it." Eravan gave a short nod. "I'm not here to waste anything, Professor." Velnax's eye dilated, a sign of mild curiosity. He gestured toward the massive holoprojector in the center of the room. A 3-dimensional starfield exploded into view, dense, chaotic, filled with millions of data points, gravitational distortions, radiation belts, and time-dilated anomalies. "This is Quadrant Threxil 9, Velnax said, "recently charted by the Xentharis Exploratory Fleet. Your assignment, map this quadrant by memory. You will have 30 seconds of observation." A wave of murmurs rippled through the hall. A gelatinous student near the front emitted a gurgling protest. 30 seconds, Eravan asked, frowning. "Isn't that short?" "You may decline the challenge," Velnax said. "Your species is new. Expectations are modulated." Eravan rubbed the side of his temple, then leaned forward. "No, I'll do it." The projector began its countdown, lights dimmed. The entire quadrant rotated slowly on its axis, a ballet of cosmic entropy. Pulsars blinked like dying lighthouses. Nebulae spread like brushstrokes across the void. Dozens of gravitational shears twisted space like glass. Eravan's pupils dilated. He didn't blink. His breathing slowed. The image vanished. Velnax blinked all 3 eyes. "Begin." Eravan reached into the side compartment of his harness and pulled out a stylus and touchpad. He started drawing, not in scattered fragments or haphazard strokes, but in sweeping arcs, placing celestial bodies with clean precision. He adjusted distances by dragging a finger, calculated vector shifts with quick taps, and layered gravitational anomalies like a painter adding shadows. 20 minutes passed, then 30. The hall was silent, save for the faint clicks of the stylus and the low humming of the life support systems. Finally, Eravan sat back. "Done." Velnax floated closer. He extended a tendril and tapped the console beside him. The original quadrant projection reappeared above them, overlay on the 2 images merged, perfect alignment, not approximate, not close, perfect. The silence in the room collapsed under a wave of astonishment. Velnax retreated half a meter. The gelatinous student hiccuped audibly. A multi-limbed Xentharis leaned forward, his eye stalks twitching. "You did not cheat?" Velnax asked, voice flat. "No," Eravan said. "You watched me the whole time." "Photographic memory," Velnax pressed. "No, something else. I don't know what to call it. I see it once and I know it, like it's stamped into me." Velnax's limbs twitched. "You will report to Lab Sector 4 immediately." "I thought that was the mapping assessment," Eravan said. "It was. You passed. Now we must understand why." Lab Sector 4 was colder than the rest of the station. The walls were lined with sensory pods, each filled with a gel that shimmered with embedded nodes. Eravan stood near the entrance while a red-scaled technician named Grawl inserted a long needle-like probe into the port at the back of a scanning chair. "You want me to sit in that?" Eravan asked. "Yes," Grawl said. "It will not harm you, probably. There is a 1.8% chance of neurological damage. Velnax considers this acceptable. Does he now?" Eravan sat reluctantly. The chair hissed and adjusted to his frame. The gel ignited with light beneath him. Grawl connected a series of leads to Eravan's scalp, then pressed a button. The world went white. He woke in a different room. His head throbbed. A dull ache spread through the base of his skull and down his spine. Velnax hovered nearby, consulting a transparent panel filled with cascading symbols. "You are awake," Velnax said. "Good." Eravan sat up slowly. "What happened?" "You entered a deep memory scan. We triggered your hippocampus using a combination of visual stimuli and sleep state interrogation. It appears your brain does not store data the way others do." "No kidding. Your species has high variability. Within a sample of 1,000 humans, we found less than 3% with your capability. You're an anomaly." Eravan blinked. "So, what does that mean?" "It means I have a new assignment for you." The next quadrant was larger, twice the size of Threxel 9. Eravan had 40 seconds this time. The projection was more complex, filled with rotating dark matter clusters and rogue asteroid fields. When the image vanished, he drew again. This time it took him over an hour, but the result was the same, perfect. Grawl watched from the corner, arms folded. "How the hell do you do that?" "I don't know," Eravan replied. "It's not like I remember it, it's like I never forgot it." Velnax drifted closer. "You will accompany the mapping vessel Orthise. It will traverse the uncharted sectors beyond Kevel Reach. You will serve as primary cartographer." "That's a long way out," Grawl said. "That's the point," Velnax replied. The Orthise was a sleek, needle-like vessel with wings designed for subspatial maneuvering. Its crew consisted of 23 beings from 17 species. Eravan was the only human. Captain Krezel, a tall, silver-skinned being with a crown-like ridge along his skull, greeted him without ceremony. "You're the memory boy, yes," Krezel said. "I guess that's me. No games aboard my ship. If you break, I throw you out the airlock." "Understood." The first week aboard the Orthise was monotonous. They charted minor anomalies, traced star trails, and logged radiation fields. Eravan worked from a corner station, sketching fields as fast as the sensors collected them. The crew began watching him in silence. Then, quietly, they started placing bets on how fast he could replicate a new quadrant. By week 3, even Krezel was watching. During a burst of subspace turbulence, the Orthise was forced to drop into normal space near the edge of a black hole cluster. The sensors failed. The hull groaned under gravitational stress. Navigation went blind. "We're flying blind," shouted First Officer Ver. "Can you get us a map?" Krezel barked at Eravan. "Show me the view." The viewport opened. A twisted canvas of light and gravity filled the screen. The distortions rolled and buckled like waves caught in time. Eravan stared. 30 seconds. He turned and began sketching. It took him 2 hours, but when he was done, he handed the map to Ver. "If you follow this path, we can slingshot around the nearest singularity and ride the gravitational wave out." "That's madness," Ver said. "We'll be crushed." "No, you won't. The pull cancels at the midpoint. It's a knife's edge, but it holds." Krezel studied the map. "We do it." The Orthise shot through the black hole cluster like a needle through thread. The hull screamed. The lights flickered. Gravity twisted, but they emerged safe light years from danger. "No one should have been able to plot that," Ver whispered. "Even our computers can't do it in real time." Eravan rubbed his eyes. "I didn't plot it, I just knew it." Back at Xentharis, Velnax received the report. He read it 3 times, then he summoned the council. "This human," he said, "may see the universe not as it is, but as it will be." And the council began to worry. The Orthise drifted in silence above a pale, boiling planet whose atmosphere shimmered with green aural ribbons. A week had passed since the black hole maneuver. The crew had stopped pretending not to watch Eravan. Now they just watched, sometimes openly, sometimes from reflections in polished consoles or through angled lenses. He had started sleeping in 2-hour stretches, waking with the taste of metal in his mouth and a strange tightness behind his eyes. He didn't mention it. There was always another quadrant to map. Today's was unlike the others. "Bring up Sector Virelian 4, Krezel ordered, his long fingers flexing as he leaned on the command dais. The hologrid assembled with a slow flicker. The projection warped into a chaotic scape. 2 binary stars flaring in opposite cycles, a debris belt of shattered moons, and a series of gravitational whirlpools that looked like someone had punched holes through space and let it leak. Eravan folded his arms. "That's not a sector. That's a blender." You'll have 60 seconds, Krezel said, generous. The lights dimmed. The projection turned once, slowly. Eravan's brow furrowed. This one didn't settle into his mind like the others. There was movement inside the whirlpools, something flickering, not just light. Faint patterns like insect wings. The image vanished. Krezel turned. Begin. Eravan didn't move. Krezel narrowed his eyes. Problem? No, just thinking. He sat. His fingers hovered over the screen, hesitating. He started with the stars, those were easy, then the belt. But when he reached the gravitational whirlpools, his hand slowed. He drew one, then stopped entirely. I can't finish it. Krezel stepped down from the dais. Explain. There's something inside those whirlpools. It's not just distortion, it's repeating like a pulse. I don't think it's random. Krezel tapped a command into the console. The science officer's display flared. There's no record of repeating signals in that sector. Maybe your sensors aren't tuned right, Eravan muttered. Or maybe it's not a signal, it looked like a pattern but not constant. More like it was reacting, shifting. Ver leaned over the console. You think it was intelligent? I don't know what it was, but it wasn't noise. Krezel's gaze lingered. You're not drawing this one, Eravan shook his head. Not until I understand what I saw. Krezel didn't argue. Instead, he turned to the helm. Take us in. The ortheyes angled toward Virelian 4, engines throttling to a low burn, hull plating adjusted to minimize drag through the sector's ambient radiation. Eravan remained at his station, unmoving. His vision felt stretched like he was seeing afterimages even with his eyes shut. As they approached the belt, the main lights dimmed without warning. Ver's fingers danced across his console. That wasn't me. Diagnostics, barked Krezel. Graal's voice came through the intercom. Power draw spike in the mapping suite. The human station just lit up. Krezel turned. Eravan. I didn't touch anything. But the display in front of him was lit. Not with anything he'd drawn, but with something else. A slow, rotating shape. A spiral, almost fractal. It pulsed once, then split into 2. Then 4, then 8. What is that? Ver asked. No idea, Eravan whispered. But it's the same thing I saw in the whirlpools. The lights returned. Krezel stepped forward. Graal locked down the mapping suite, full isolation, already done. Eravan stood. I didn't trigger this. No, but it triggered you. A klaxon sounded low and short, not an alarm, but a proximity warning. Something just detached from the belt, Ver said. Small, organic structure, no propulsion. Krezel's face tightened. Display it. The screen flicked to life. A shape drifted toward them, too symmetrical to be debris. It spun slowly, revealing thin ridges along its surface like the veins of a dried leaf. It had no glow, no heat signature, just movement. It's matching our vector, Ver said. Is it alive? Eravan asked. No metabolism, said Krezel. But it's not inert either. The object halted just outside the hull, hovering within 10 meters of the viewport. Can you zoom in? Eravan asked. Ver adjusted the image. The ridges came into sharp focus. Writing, not letters, not language. But the same spiral pattern from his screen, etched over and over, each iteration slightly different. What does it want? Krezel murmured. Eravan stepped closer. I think it's a test. 3 hours later, the object hadn't moved. Eravan sat in the medical bay, his head wired to a monitoring rig. Graal hovered nearby, adjusting the sensors with practiced indifference. It's not brain damage, Graal said. But your neural activity's spiking in regions we don't usually see activated in conscious states. Which regions? On humans? No idea. I'm not a xenoneurologist. But your temperature's elevated, your glucose levels dropped, and your occipital lobes lit up like a beacon. I don't feel sick. That's the freaky part. Eravan rubbed his temples. What happens if I try to draw the spiral? You've already done it, unconsciously. I mean deliberately. Graal handed him a stylus and a blank panel. Eravan stared at it, then began. The first spiral came easy, so did the second. But by the third, something shifted. His hand started to tremble. The pattern twisted in an unexpected way, then again and again. Each iteration changed slightly, bending toward a shape he didn't intend. Stop, Graal said. You're sweating through your shirt. Eravan dropped the stylus. It's rewriting itself as I draw it. Graal looked at the panel. This isn't just data. It's recursive, meaning every time you replicate it, it changes. and the change influences how you think about it. It's teaching you something, but what, I have no clue. Krezel entered the bay, his expression unreadable. We're returning to Xentharis. You think we're in danger? Grawl asked. I think we're outmatched. He turned to Eravan. You're going back under observation. The professor wants answers. Eravan nodded, then hesitated. Tell him this isn't a map, it's a message. Krezel's gaze didn't waver. He already suspects that. 3 days later, Eravan was back in the lab chamber at Xentharis. Grawl had accompanied him, grumbling the entire transit. Velnax floated beside a new scanning rig, larger, more complex, with twin neural interfaces. You will attempt to replicate the pattern under guided conditions, Velnax said. We will monitor your cortical shifts in real time. Right, Eravan said, and if it fries my brain, then we learn something valuable, Grawl muttered. That's not comforting. Eravan sat back in the chair. The gel was warmer this time, and the moment the interface activated, he felt a pressure behind his eyes, like a hand gently pressing inward. The spiral appeared on the overhead display. He began again, 1 spiral, then 2, then 4. His breath came faster. The shapes twisted, folding into new symmetries. He wasn't drawing anymore, he was following. Tracing something that already existed somewhere behind his thoughts, Velnax leaned forward. His theta waves are synchronizing with the pattern. This is not passive replication. He is being guided. The room dimmed. Eravan's fingers stopped on the panel before him. The spirals had converged into a single glyph. Velnax approached slowly. What is that? Eravan opened his eyes. A key. To what? I don't know, he whispered, but whatever sent that object. It's waiting for me to use it. Eravan woke to the sound of a slow, rhythmic beeping, low and steady, like a calm heartbeat. The ceiling above him was made of segmented pale panels, backlit by a soft glow. He recognized the infirmary immediately, though this bay was deeper in the Xentharis complex than the one he'd been in before. A thin, translucent patch was stuck behind his left ear, and a filament-thin tube ran from his forearm into a port beside the reclined bed. Grawl stood nearby, arms crossed, watching a readout that hovered in midair like a ghostly scroll. You're awake, Grawl said, not looking up. Didn't expect you to be, honestly. You dropped like a stone after the last session. How long was I out? 14 hours. You had a seizure. Brief but violent, left you with a mild concussion and a spike in intracranial pressure. We drained it, you'll be fine. Eravan tried sitting up, the bed's surface adjusted, supporting his back with a quiet hiss. I didn't feel it coming. That's what worried us, no warning signs. No twitch, no tremor. Your vitals were stable one moment, then you were convulsing like someone hit your brain with a drumstick. He rubbed his eyes. Was the pattern still changing after I blacked out? Grawl turned finally. No, it vanished from the panel the second you lost consciousness. Like it was only there when you were. Do we still have the last version? Velnax had it quarantined. He seems convinced it's a cognitive interface, a kind of communication that bypasses language. I think it's a trap. If it is, it hasn't sprung. Grawl snorted. You're the only spring-loaded part in this equation. The door hissed open. Velnax entered, flanked by 2 other academics wearing layered robes woven with thermoreflective filaments. Their skin shimmered with internal phosphorescence, suggesting they'd come from the deep pressure vaults below the core. We need confirmation, Velnax said without preamble. Are you still seeing the pattern? No, said Eravan. It's gone. Like it was never there. Good, said the taller of the 2 robed ones. Then it's safe to proceed. Grawl raised a hand. We're not proceeding with anything. He needs rest. He's had it, said Velnax. And time is relevant. We've received a transmission from the object. Eravan blinked. Transmission, a compression burst. Narrowband, encoded in magnetic pulses. It arrived 6 hours ago, directed solely at our station, and it matches the spiral structure you drew. The taller, robed alien stepped closer to Eravan's bed. Its voice was thick and wet, like air forced through a reed. We believe the pattern was a handshake. The transmission is the next stage. Eravan's pulse quickened. What does it say? We don't know, Velnax admitted. It's not language, it's structure, a sequence of potentialities. Grawl rolled his eyes. That's not an answer. That's poetry. Perhaps, Velnax replied, but it's consistent, and we believe it's designed to be interpreted only by the one who received the pattern first. Grawl looked at Eravan. That'd be you, which means it could trigger another seizure or worse. I want to try, said Eravan. No, said Grawl. I'm not letting you walk back into that mess without a full scan and 2 days of observation. I don't need 2 days. I need a stable chair, a monitor, and a kill switch in case I flatline. Grawl exhaled sharply. You're either brave or stupid. I get that a lot. They moved him to a smaller lab chamber, this one shielded with a braided alloy mesh designed to absorb ambient electromagnetic bursts. The floor vibrated faintly with the hum of the station's core reactors. A single console had been set up in the center, displaying a circular interface that pulsed at a steady rhythm. Eravan sat, hands resting lightly on the panel. Grawl stood behind a transparent barrier, fingers hovering near a red manual override strip. Begin when ready, said Velnax from a separate terminal. The spiral reappeared. This time it didn't unfold. It resonated, as if it were humming in tune with something inside him. He let his hands move, not drawing, not replicating, but responding. The spiral shimmered, then split along a central axis, revealing a lattice of interlocking bands. He traced them slowly. Each touch released a flood of sensation colors he'd never seen, sounds that didn't reach his ears but still rang through his chest. He wasn't mapping, he was navigating. The spiral imploded into a single glyph again, but not the same one as before. This one was smaller, simpler. He touched it. The console dimmed, then displayed an image, a set of coordinates deep space beyond any charted zone, but no stars, just a void. No one spoke for several seconds. Grawl was the first to move. That's not a sector, that's a dead zone. It's where the object came from, said Eravan. Velnax's eyes narrowed. And now it wants you to come there. No, said Eravan slowly. It wants me to bring something back. Grawl stepped through the barrier. You've had a seizure, a blackout, and a neural overload in the last day. You're not going anywhere. I don't think I have a choice, Eravan said. It's not calling me, it's giving me directions. Velnax tapped his console. We will send a drone first. No, Eravan stood too fast. His vision swam for a second, but he steadied himself. It won't respond to anything else. It's a guided interface. This is between it and me. It's not safe, said Grawl. Neither is standing still. Velnax considered this. Then we send you. With safeguards. The vessel they prepared was small, only 4 decks, barely enough crew for support. It was fast, maneuverable, and modified with a neural dampener tuned specifically to Eravan's brainwave patterns. Grawl insisted on coming along. If you start twitching, I want to be there with a sedative and a crowbar. They launched 12 hours later. The path was direct. The coordinates led them past unmarked voids and forgotten anomalies. No transmissions, no signals, just an increasing sense of stillness. When they arrived, the space ahead of them was empty. No stars, no light, no horizon, just the object. It wasn't the same one. This one was larger, flat, wide, shaped like a disk of obsidian with veins of pale light running across it. It's waiting, Eravan said. It's not broadcasting, said Grawl. It doesn't need to. Eravan left the bridge and entered the observation bay. The ship's lights dimmed as he approached the viewport. The object pulsed once. Then slowly it opened, not physically, not visibly, but something parted. A shape unfolded from itself, revealing a single glyph suspended in space. The same glyph he'd drawn weeks ago. He reached out, resting his hand against the glass. The ship vibrated once. Then silence. The object vanished. No flash, no burst, just absence. Grawl ran in. What happened? Eravan turned. It's done. Done? What's done? I delivered the pattern. That's all it wanted. Grawl looked around. We came all this way for that. Eravan smiled faintly. Sometimes the map isn't to find something. It's to show you where not to look. They returned to Xentharis 3 days later. Velnax met them at the dock. You encountered nothing. No hazards, no traps, said Grawl. Just a message, delivered and received. Eravan nodded. It wasn't a threat. It was a test of perception. We passed. Velnax stared at him for a long time, then turned away. We will keep the record sealed. Grawl clapped Eravan on the shoulder. You didn't find a new star, but you made the galaxy blink. That counts. Eravan looked out at the stars beyond the dome. I think that was the point.